Hey, everybody, thank you so much for coming today. If you want to, you can clap. Up to you, yes, thank you. Thank you for coming today, appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I appreciate that also. We are in Auburn, New York. It's Cayuga County, is that right?
Yes.
Cayuga County, yes. We are now at stop number 55, if I'm not mistaken, of my 62 stop full Sharpe trip. Boy, it is a long trip, but it's working. It is happening. 50 some odd stops in 5 weeks. We are not stopping. Why? I am doing this because I want people to understand that the liberty movement has actual solutions, actual answers to problems, and the people who are running, and there are people running across this state on the libertarian line that you should be looking at across the country. Obviously, I want everybody to vote for Jo Jorgensen. Of course, I want that. She's our presidential candidate. But not only that, yes, and all the people who are also running across this state and across this country locally on your line. You can find a libertarian on your line, you should support them. Larry, why? I want to vote Republican or I vote Democrat. Awesome, I love that. Good for you. Here's the difference. In most of these races you're seeing, that most people are seeing, we already know who's going to win. The primary was the actual election. We know who's going to win. Yeah, your district is gerrymandered or your state is completely red or blue. You know who's going to win already. Okay, I got you. If you know already. If you know already who's going to win, if you're in that situation, I know not everybody is, but if you are, why in the world would you vote for a blue or a red when you know who's going to win already? Why would you? You're literally throwing your vote away. You're making no impact whatsoever. And you're letting the people know that if you're red or blue, they own your vote and you can't even send them a message or anything. But if you vote gold this year, find people on that gold line this year, what's going to happen? You're going to let them know, one, they don't own your vote, but two, more important, you're going to have better Republicans and better Democrats. You're going to have Republicans who lean liberty and Democrats who lean liberty. You're going to have Republicans who actually will have to care about small business, will actually have to care about lower taxes. You're going to have Democrats who actually have to care about civil liberties. They're going to actually have to care, because if they don't, the Libertarian is going to take that vote. You can do that this year, New York and every other state. But not just that. You actually want people talking about answers. The example I keep giving again and again and again is our only Libertarian congressional congressperson, and that is Justin Amash. When George Floyd was killed, when that happened, the left yelled, "Cops are bad." The right yelled, "Cops are great." The left yelled, "Defund the police." The right yelled, "Back to blue." And no one had an actual answer, except Justin Amash. He said, how about this qualified immunity thing? Talked about that. And others have too, and others today will talk about that. Talk about qualified immunity. And he went to the left and said, hey guys, will some of you support? And some said, yeah. He went to the right, will some of you support? And some said, yeah. And he had a tri-partisan bill, the first one ever. That's solutions. That's trying to fix things. And you might disagree and say, I don't like qualified immunity. That's a bad idea. Okay, it's an idea. Let's talk about it. I wanted to add a piece. The piece I wanted to add was the idea of every law enforcement officer who is a professional, they are professionals, carrying their own liability insurance, just like other professionals, doctors, lawyers, they all carry their own professional liability insurance. Why would I want that? Here's the reason why. There are bad cops. That's true. Now, cops aren't bad or good. Cops are human beings. Anybody else? My father was in law enforcement. But there are bad cops. They exist. Here's what happens right now. There's a bad cop. They do something bad. Well, they don't get fired. They're allowed to resign. Don't deal with union issues. They're allowed to resign. They resign. So that bad cop does something bad, resigns, gets a job in a different county, does something bad again. Why? That's a bad cop. Well, what do we see? 2 different counties, cops doing things bad. Oh my God, all cops are bad. That cop, again, doesn't get fired. He's able to resign. What does he do? Changes states. Gets a job again. Does a bad thing. Why? He's a bad cop. Now it's 3. Oh my God, look at all these terrible cops everywhere. They're all terrible. Look at them all. No, same cop. If you look at so many cops who've done something bad, many of them have a record. Bad, 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 bad. And now all the cops who are good look bad because the one cop keeps doing bad things with no consequences. But imagine if that cop instead had to carry his own insurance. He does something bad, his insurance rates go up. If he just made a mistake, he's a good cop, made a mistake, like a driver makes a mistake. You pay some extra insurance for a couple of years and you're back in action. Life is good. The cop made a mistake. You move on. But if a cop keeps making mistakes, their insurance rate goes so high that they eventually have to stop making mistakes or they can't get insured. If they can't get insured, they can't have a job. They basically get fired. Insurance company does a job for us. But more important, right now, if a cop does something bad and he gets sued, who pays? The city or the state pays. Well, it's in the best interest of the city or state to cover it up. They don't want to pay all those fees and fines, whatever it might be, they want to pay. But if it was an insurance company and they're paying, it's in the government's best interest to do one thing: find the truth. That's it. So the good cop doesn't get punished because it looks bad, because it doesn't matter. And the bad cop gets punished because they're a bad cop. This idea of liability insurance for officers is a good idea. If you don't like it, no worries. Talk to me. We can talk about it. We can fix it. But it's a plan. It's an idea to not just defund the police or forget about it, make no change. It's an idea to have better cops that everyone could get behind. Punishing bad cops and leaving good cops alone to do their job. That's what I want to achieve. That's what Libertarians talk about. If you want to hear that kind of thing, you've got to be listening to Libertarians. Now, some people tell me, Larry, that's great, but all you do is talk to other Libertarians. That's not true at all. Some of you remember during my campaign, I would often ask the question, who here, either now or in the last 2 years, was a registered Democrat? Hands will go up. Who here in the last 2 years or now, recently, was a registered Republican? Hands will go up. Who now or last 2 years was registered, but neither? Hands will go up. More than one side comes to us, left and right. Republicans and Democrats come to us because we are the peacemakers. We are the ones who can bring two sides together and come up with answers. And we don't care if the answer comes from Republicans or comes from Democrats. Just give us an answer. We're good. And I'm very lucky today. I have somebody here who's come from the Republican Party, who has jumped on our line, and we're happy to have her. She's also on the Libertarian line. So if you see her on the Libertarian line, do me a favor, vote Libertarian on that line. But vote for her anyway. Please vote for her. Absolutely support her and vote for her. I prefer the Libertarian line. She's running for New York State Assembly, Stephanie Jackson.
Hi, everybody. So thank you guys for coming out. I drove in from Onondaga County today to support Tim O'Connor in this race because I've been on their podcast and he really is about solutions. And that's what I'm here to talk about, not only offer my support, but also solutions. One of the things here in Auburn that we were just discussing before this is the prison and the police. One of the things in my campaign that I'm strongly supporting is school choice for federal funding to follow the student. For example, I'm homeschooling now my children, pulled them out of New York State, and the school district is still going to get that federal money for my child. What's happening across New York State is that children, even in need of services, have lost that. So I was downtown Syracuse fighting the Syracuse City School District with them going virtual because the internet is still not working. Students still don't have their equipment. And one of the problems that we have here in Onondaga County, which I know is also the same right here in Auburn, New York, is the school to prison pipeline. And that has to change. New York State has been failing our students ever since June of 2019 when they kicked 27,000 healthy children out of school, taking away the religious exemption to vaccine. So I just am here fighting for our kids and our communities to strengthen our streets. And I think that Tim really will add on that and build on that. And I know he's got some great stuff to say. Tim.
We are very lucky to have someone like Stephanie on our line. Thank you so much for coming, Stephanie. Again, Stephanie Jackson, please check her out. She is running for New York State Assembly here in New York State. It's the 128th district, correct? 128th district. If you're in that district, please look her up and vote for her on Libertarian line. But Republican line's fine if you're a Republican, but Libertarian line's better. So yes, thank you so much for that. But what did you hear? You heard someone like Stephanie talking about how do we solve problems. You also heard talking about things like school choice. Look, choices and options are the right answer. This is what we're all talking about. Does it mean public school's bad? No, it means you choose what school you send your child to. If you're happy with your public school, please send your kid to your public school. And if you're not, please don't. Treat your kid as you want to treat your kid. The idea that Stephanie brought up, so on the money, the idea of removing a religious exemption. If you're going to remove an exemption, that's the one you remove, the one that's in the First Amendment. Literally the one that's in our First Amendment. That's the one you remove. But that's what's happening in our state. And people like Stephanie are trying to fight that. Thank you, Stephanie, for coming. Thank you. Yes. With that in mind, we're trying to create a world where we can fight the one-party system that comes up in so many states. In New York State, Democratic Party runs our state like there's no tomorrow, right? They run our state like a mob. It's what happens. When you have that, you want to try to break it. How can you? People said, Larry, if you win governor, how in the world are you going to be able to make a change? Well, the grassroots has to move up and get people who are liberty-minded to want to help out that governor, to want to push a governor. Well, I have somebody here who I know, if he wins this thing for state senate, is going to push that governor. And if I win governor, he's going to support me. And he's going to support your individual rights for you to be freer so that you can be happier. That man's running for New York State Senate, District 51, Tim O'Connor.
All right, guys, once again, thank you, Larry Sharpe. Let's ask ourselves, guys, ask why you've seen me so much on Larry's show. I'm looking to represent Senate District 51. It's the heart, the breadbasket. It's a rust belt. It's the bread and butter of New York State. I drove 2 hours just to share Larry's platform. And again, Larry, thank you very much. And we have solutions. You guys have heard me talk about solutions, legalizing cannabis production, deregulating it. Guys, we've got to talk about how our state is losing our children and sending them out into the world to explore economic opportunities that they are not finding here. And the reasons why is because we have over-regulated ourselves. Every time we turn around, the government throws a roadblock to economic opportunity, to our children exploring a future in central New York. And that is real. You guys have heard my solutions. I came here tonight to support Stephanie, to support Larry, and thank him for sharing his platform with me. On that note, right, let me finish one more piece. Sorry, guys. When we're talking about Senate District 51, we can look around, we can take drives. We see farms falling into the ground, guys. We see fields that were just being mowed 2 or 5 years ago, producing food or agricultural product. If we decriminalize and regulate marijuana and cannabis like onions, okay, we can have an impact that will put some of this stuff back into operation. Some of these failing properties, these fallow fields, will get back into operation. It won't change the landscape of Senate District 51. It's a plush, wooded, intermixed with farms and small communities like Auburn, a 20,000 person town with a college, like Oneonta, New York, a 14,000 person town with a college, like Cortland County to the south of here, another 20,000 person town with a small college. We can make the outlying areas more productive, more fun. So when we see an attack on the First Amendment, like Larry was pointing at, when we're talking about qualified immunity, when we're talking about solutions to make New York State better, trust me that if I don't have every answer, I know people that do. So between Larry and Thomas Daniel Queter, who's running for Senate District 52, literally he's a disability advocate and a libertarian. And some of you guys might wonder how that happens. Thomas can answer that question. I try to answer it for him, but it's a complicated situation. It points at one size fits all government fits no one. And that's the reality that Thomas Daniel Queter has lived his entire life facing. So when we talk about a failing government, we talk about a crashing economic system, when we're talking about chasing our children to other parts of the country, when we talk about Colorado, who is leading the way in legalizing weed, is growing. When we look at South Dakota, who has led the way in economic advancement, it's growing. When we look at Tennessee with fewer restrictions, people are leaving New York and going to Tennessee and going to South Dakota and going to Florida. These things are real. We cannot change it without changing our mindset of government. That is the absolute bottom line. So when we want to move on to qualified immunity, Qualified immunity is actually a bigger subject, and when we talk about it, we can solve certain issues with the police officers, and then we can still insure them and provide them with protection against people who want to be lawsuit happy, right? But when we get into getting rid of qualified immunity and we take a look at a petty judge or a petty bureaucrat or a petty town assessor, guys, those things have real impact on our lives in Senate District 51. We have assessors serving budgets who don't even pay attention to the actual market value of the property. When it's sold for $16,000 and they assess it for $53,000, okay? And these are real stories, guys. People reach out to me every day to share information about what would make their lives better in Senate District 51. And when they have to go to war with their assessor and they have to go to war with their code enforcer, what if, guys, what if we reinvented government? What if people listen to libertarians and we put service back into the notion of our petty bureaucracies, where when it takes a guy who wants to spend $1 million to build 7 houses, and it's not me, this is another true story from local, okay, from local to my community, excuse me. 1 year to get the approvals to do that when he has 7 acres of land and he wants to build 7 or 8 houses, and it takes a year for him to get approvals to do that, and that year then turns into the COVID apocalypse year, which we have faced in New York State. That guy is not building those houses now. It took too long. If it could be approved after a year, it could have been approved in 3 months. And guys, as you know, to support that notion, we have to pay our kids more. We want them to serve on our local town boards, okay? We want them to get excited about economic opportunity. It starts local. We can grow it local. Guys like Larry support the concept. I will live the concept. If you guys give me your vote, I will, as a senator, argue that platform in my towns and communities in Senate District 51. That economic advancement is an absolute must. Bottom line, guys, I want to thank you all for being here. I love the fact that this campaign has introduced me to wonderful people like Larry, like Emmy Liberty, like Justin and Lorinda. My wife actually joined me. Guys, this has been the best thing. Larry Sharpe, thank you very much. You guys have seen me 7 times. This is probably the last time I get to share this platform before the election. So share the heck out of it. Join us in Liberty. And if you're a Libertarian candidate, go collect some votes. That will get us votes where we need them. Thank you very much.
I am so happy that I'm able to have these types of candidates here in New York State. I'm so happy that we're able to have them throughout the entire country. I want to bring up a piece that he talked about, the idea of farmland, the idea of helping farmers. Economic growth is so important because that's why the kids stay, right? That's why the adults stay. That's why everybody stays, because it's opportunity, right? That's why they're doing it. There's a simple answer that we can have, and you talked about South Dakota, which is totally right. I'm going to bring up Wyoming. I'm bringing up Wyoming for 2 reasons. Wyoming has 2 things we need to copy here in New York State. You should probably copy in your state. The first one is, I want to make sure, right now Wyoming has a law, and it's called the Wyoming Farm Bill. In Wyoming, if you're a farmer and you agree to sell only within Wyoming, you are immune from all federal regulatory bodies. We should copy that here in New York. If you're a farmer who wants to sell, disagrees, you don't have to apply for it. You simply sign a sheet of paper, agree, I will sell only within New York State. You should be immune from all federal regulatory bodies, period. All you do is put a stamp. We do not follow federal guidelines. Life is good. Sell what you want to sell whenever you want to sell it, and let the consumer decide if they want to buy it or not. What does that do? That gives you, the local farmer, an advantage over the big farm that sells across every border known to man. Maybe a little bit of equal footing there, right? Because now you're not having to copy that at all. But I'll go one step further. Do that for every small business in New York State. If you're a diner, if you're a restaurant, if you're a local guy who's going to only sell at your local hardware store, you agree you only sell to people in New York State only, then guess what? No federal regulatory bodies whatsoever. But Larry, I want to sell on the internet. Awesome. Let's also take every farmer and treat them exactly like a small business. They're basically an S Corp or an LLC. So I want to sell some of my cool products I'm going to sell overseas. Awesome. Separate LLC. That LLC follows all the regulatory bodies. This one doesn't. Have 2 separate ones. You know how hard that is right now when you're a farmer? Virtually impossible. It will cost you tens of thousands of dollars if you can even do it. We just said you're a small business. $700 maybe. You got it done. Now you can all of a sudden take all those dairy farmers in our state who struggle like there's no tomorrow, who are now price takers and not price makers. All of a sudden now they can decide, you know what? I'm going to sell locally and I'm going to sell craft cheese or craft ice cream or craft yogurts or whatever the case may be. And I want to take some of that money I make here and put it into my international, and I'm going to sell my craft cheese in France or my LLC for my French distribution or my Dutch distribution or whatever the case may be. And they can start selling and surviving. And some of them can become price makers and not price takers. But some people might say, you know what? I actually just want to sell milk. I don't want to make craft cheese. I don't want to make craft ice cream. I just want to milk my cows and sell milk. Well, guess what? If a bunch of people decide to make craft ice creams and craft yogurts and craft cheeses, there's less milk on the market. Your price goes up. So even the price takers get more, and the price makers do whatever they want to do, just by changing the environment and giving the small farmer an advantage. This is what libertarians talk about. This is what Stephanie's talking about. This is what Tim's talking about, giving us a chance, letting us survive and have choices and options to be happy. If you want that, if you care about that, you have to vote gold this year. This year, not next year or whatever. You hear all the time, it's the most important election ever. It is too important for you not to vote gold. Too important not to vote gold. Because if you live in a state like we do, New York State, you might care about Biden or you might care about Trump. It doesn't matter. Biden is going to get our 27 votes no matter what we do. We are 2.8 or so to 1 Democrat to Republican in this state. It's about 3 to 1 Democrat to Republican in New York State. Biden wins this state. If you're a Republican in New York State and someone's told you New York State's in play, they are lying to you or they are ignorant, because that is not true. And if you think I'm wrong, I will bet any of you any amount of money. Trump may win the election. I have no idea. Trump may win the election. But if he wins it, he'll win it like he did last time without New York State. Right? He might win it. I don't know if he's going to win it or not. But he will not win it with New York State. He'll win it without New York State. Not going to happen. So instead of thinking, I've got to vote Biden, no, I've got to vote Trump because I live in New York State. No, you don't. It's a wasted vote. You're wasting your time. You are telling people that their bad behavior is fine. If instead you vote Libertarian, here's what I promise you. If you vote Libertarian, you will have better Democrats, you have better Republicans. You will have people like Stephanie, who is, I wish all Republicans were like you, right? I wish you were all like you, right? And I want more like you. So let's vote Libertarian and get more people like that. Let's vote Libertarian and get more people, better Democrats, better Republicans. Let's let them move to our side. We can do it this year. And more importantly, after this election, the Trump wins or not, there's going to be tens of millions of unhappy people in this country. Where are they going to go? I have an idea. Come to us. We're here. We want you to be here. But they're only going to come to us if they see us as viable and realistic and important. They'll do that if we vote gold. Good, please, yes. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Yes. For those of you who don't know, and I've been yelling about this for months. Those who don't know, New York State, in 2018, the rules were 50,000 votes in a gubernatorial election, and then any third party now gets ballot access. Well, luckily, we ran and we got that. And after we got that, His Majesty King Andrew II, all hail the king, he said, oh, did I say 50,000? Just kidding. What I meant was 130,000 or 2%, whichever is higher. That is our new rule for this year. So if we don't get that, we lose ballot access yet again. And so does every other third party. Independence Party, Conservative Party, Green Party, they all lose it if they don't get it. Well, I don't want anything to lose it, but I sure don't want us to lose it. So vote gold this year. 130,000 votes in New York State so we can keep ballot access. Be bold, vote gold for the future. Let me say that one more time. Be bold, vote gold for the future. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching.